You're listening to the Heroes Powerhour presented by BlizzPro.com. Your hosts, Balrog fan Zexorus and DJ Tyrant. Welcome everyone to the Heroes Power Hour. This is episode 119 of the Heroes Power, a Heroes of the Storm podcast brought to you by BlizzPro.com. Thank you guys for joining us for so much. We have a lot to talk about this week. We have the new patch that was released today with Ana and Volskaya Foundry, all the hero changes there, as well as HGC playoffs getting completely set and good to go. And might have a little interview with some talented Heroes players. But yeah, I know a lot of you are here for that Justin interview. We'll be getting into that very shortly. But first of all, as we do every week here on the Heroes Power, we go around, we introduce the hosts, and we talk about our weeks in gaming. Balrog fan, let's go ahead and start off with you. How are you doing, my friend?
It's been a pretty good week. Been enjoying what we got to play today on the new patch. That was a lot of fun. I don't know what to make of Ana yet. She seems pretty good though. I'm gonna wait till she drops in price as per usual to pick her up. But yeah, I think I like her. Pretty solid.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Zexorus, that's the typing you hear over there. How are you, my friend?
Darn it! I shouldn't have typed. I was gonna start mouthing words like I was muted. But it's been an interesting week. I've undertaken a project in masochism. I've taken an old Smurf that when all those mega packs were available, I bought the tank mega pack on it, and that's all I'm doing is just running tanks. And I want to see the discrepancy between my old account and my new account, just to see if there is a discrepancy, and if it's like right now, like my old account is like gold 3 or something like that, or was at the end of last season, and if I'm like plat, like high plat, yeah, I'm gonna be kind of tilted over that. But I've got like already 45-50 games in, it's already got like a 75% win rate on it. Or 75, like it's above 70% right now. So
there you go.
It'll be
really
interesting good. It'll definitely be interesting once I start hitting Hero League and start doing, because if I remember correctly, your initial Hero League placements, your seeding is determined by unranked draft. Is that right? I feel like that's right.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, so
your unranked draft MMR is seeded by a quick match MMR. Your Hero League is seeded by your unranked draft MMR, and your Team League is seeded by your Hero League. But only the first time you do them. After that, you're determined by your previous MMR in that queue.
Right. So, and I've done no ranked in on that account, so it's a fresh account. So it'll be really interesting to me to see how this turns out. Maybe I am a completely average player. Well, no, that's why I consider like high silver to high gold is you're not bad, but you're not good. You're just average. So we'll see how this turns out.
Yeah, that should be an interesting experiment. Did you make any Rainers quit Heroes?
No. No, but I rediscovered my love of ETC today.
Yeah, no, ETC is super strong right now.
And definitely, and Diablo was a lot of fun to get back into the swing of using him and just taking people on trips to Suplex City.
Take me down to Suplex City.
But now, like, because I'm only getting them up to 5, and then I'm moving on, and then so like Diablo's at 5, so I've got to figure out who I'm gonna level up next. It'll probably be a few games with Chen to get him to 5, but
Of course.
it'll probably be Arthas after that, just because I really need to learn how to use Arthas, because he's like one of the few heroes I just don't touch.
Well, there's a couple people you could talk to, I'm sure, about that.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely friends of the show, et cetera.
Physical art, how about you? How's your week been in games? Anything you want to talk about?
The games have been good. I gave up on the PTR after my first 3 attempts at trying the queue.
Yeah.
I kind of gave up, but the first day I got to play a few games, but after that, the queue was just so long. And it's very hard to get people to play the PTR if they're not playing the new things. So it just is a matter of I have to wait until it goes live. Outside of that, I did play quite a bit of Hero League, which is strange for me. And I actually had a game where they requested I first pick Geslo, and it was one of the best games I've had in a long time because they actually understood the concept of turrets mean zoning, and if you stay in the turrets, the enemy stays zoned. It was wonderful. So that was my week. And the interview. The interview happened last week. Yes, that was my week.
Yeah, there's definitely something I think to be said about playing heroes you're comfortable on. You just definitely play a little bit more consistent than I think on lesser known heroes or warriors in physical arts case. That's nothing against you. That's your own self-proclaimed like weakness in heroes. You're like, anytime you're in Hero League, I know you complain about this. You're like, don't make me pick warriors. That's it. That's all I ask.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point where I just warn them ahead of time, whether I'm first pick or 10th pick, where I'm like, look, I will play anything you want as long as it's not a tank. Like the old Henry Ford, you can have any car you want as long as it's black. So I cannot tank. I like to. I cannot do it. Don't know why. Just one of those things. I just defer to Willie when that happens.
Yeah, most definitely. But P-Flame G, how has your week been in Heroes? What have you been up to?
It's been good. I'm like 7 games into my Hero League placements. I have a positive record. I don't know if it's whether I'm 5-2 or 4-3. But which is already much better than my last placements. I went like 2-8, I think, last season. It was pretty bad. But other than that, not much. I was busy all weekend.
Yeah, kind of the same for me. I've just been playing quick match and unranked here and there. Obviously, we played some games before the show. If you don't know about that, we do actually play some games on this channel right before we do go live. We used to, a long time ago, do after-show games, but we realized people want to go to bed, all of us adults with jobs and stuff, so we started doing games before. So if you want to check that out, check it out at about 8 Eastern, right before the show. Yeah, been playing pretty casually lately. Nothing too crazy. Been pretty busy with other things. But we do have what a lot of people have come here for, is the interview with Justine from Roll20Esports. Now, is there anything we need to prep here for the interview? Anything you want to say about the interview, or just save it for post-interview?
I was woefully unprepared for this interview, and I apologize. I thought I wasn't doing it until about 3 hours before I was doing it. So I only had 4 questions, and my contributions are light. Hats off to Physical Art for doing a lot of the heavy lifting on this.
Yeah, I did most of the preparation just because it was something after doing the one with June, it's become a thing that I very much enjoy doing, because there are players that, as wonderful as the captains are, you never hear from certain teammates who have been in the scene a long time. So it's something I enjoy doing, and he is a brilliant conversationalist and a brilliant person, so I'm hoping going forward I can continue to do more of these as well.
Okay, so there we have it. Justine from Roll20Esports talking all things HGC and Heroes. We'll see you on the flips.
Welcome everybody to the Heroes Power Hour. Another week here, and we are Welcome, everybody, to the Heroes Power Hour. Another week here, and we are lucky enough to secure another interview with somebody from HGC. Today we have Justin of Roll20Esports. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
That's great to hear. Artifice is here with us, our wonderful co-host. So I just want to hop right in. Basically, I try to ask this of a lot of people because it fascinates me, but what got you interested in competitive gaming? When did you know like this was something you wanted to really push for and do?
Probably about like 3 or 4 years ago when I was playing League of Legends with my friend Buds, who I'm still on a team with, and our group of real life friends. We were playing that game and didn't really take it too seriously. Like our friends, we just like played around, messed around. And then when HOTS came out, I was like thinking, oh, I can't wait for HOTS to come out. That game looks so much fun. Like when that comes out, I can just play that. And I got an invite, a beta invite in my email. And then I was trying to get all my friends to come play, and I got Buds to come play. And pretty much just liked the game a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing, except I never got good enough. Artifice, I'll toss it over to you.
Yeah, with your getting into competitive, I read that you reached out to Glarong about auditioning with Buds. Did you actually know each other, or was that kind of like a blind invitation?
I mean, did I know Glarong, or did I know Buds?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't really know Glarong. I'd met him like maybe one time at a previous LAN, because me and Buds were on TNC for last year when it was just like top 8 LANs for NA. And I think I met Glarong maybe like once or twice at those, but never really like got to know him too well.
Okay, a little different now. So I read about you being one of the main forces behind the draft process. Does that stem from this love of chart analysis I read about, or is that more experience-based?
Probably a little bit of both. I do like working with like technical stuff like that. Like I did say in that, and it's still probably true that like if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably still just be like looking at charts right now. So the draft is kind of similar. Like I've got like spreadsheets, and I just like to like if you saw, obviously I can't show it, but like our draft prep, I do it with Goku, and like it started with like one small little section on a spreadsheet, and it's like slowly grown into like 2 whole tabs where you have to go like all the way across like the whole spreadsheet. Like I'm pretty bad at organizing, but like
well, maybe when you retire, you can like publish those so we can see it.
Yeah, it'll probably be a couple of 100 pages long by then. Like, it just grows. Like I don't delete anything. I just keep it all, and just it slowly grows. But,
okay.
Yeah, I just drafting is like a really big part of the game. Like I'll have like dreams about it almost. Like I'll have like anxiety. I'll like wake up and I'll be like, oh, foul stat.
Like, what about this?
Yeah.
With the drafting, why do you feel there's such disparity between the regions, like North America, Europe, and Korea, when it comes to drafting? Because they're all very different.
I think it's mostly just like comes down to play styles that the different regions have, and there's so many viable heroes I think in Heroes of the Storm that you can kind of just draft whatever fits your play style best.
Okay.
That being said, I think once it gets to like BlizzCon, I feel like the meta is probably going to end up being just whatever works best total. Like I think all the metas are going to kind of come together, and we're going to have just one meta finally for the first time of the year. So I think that'll be kind of cool to see.
Okay. Charlie?
BlizzCon's obviously a very exciting time, and I know with you guys qualifying, you know, you always seem to constantly be motivated and improving yourself. Is that a philosophy that applies to other aspects of your life, or is it something that just seems mutual to Heroes? Because you're a phenomenal Heroes player, and I know like that kind of mental strain and constant work, it's a lot. So is that something that you just how you live your life, or is it just the way you approach gaming?
I wish I could say it was, because I'd like to improve on things, and like I try to like improve myself mostly just so that I can get better at the game. Like I've like read some like books for that, and like done some like sports psychology stuff I've looked into, but it's mostly so it's like self-improvement stuff, but it's mostly just for the game. Yeah. So for me it's kind of weird because the game is, to me it's my job, but then it's also like what I like to do for fun. So if I'm avoiding problems that I may have in my real life, that's done by playing my job, like doing my job basically.
Right.
So like it kind of like I can like slack off sort of on like real life stuff and have it still be productive because what I'm slacking off is just playing more HOTS.
Yeah.
So it's like
The dangers of
a little bit of
workaholic.
both, I guess. Yeah. Like I want to improve on other stuff, but in the end, it's pretty much just so that I can get better at HOTS anyways. So if I am slacking off, it's just more HOTS practice anyways. So.
We're all works in progress anyway, so I mean, you know. Artifice, I know you got a few more.
Yeah, a little bit of a detailed one, but you'll be able to follow this pretty easily. It's the statistics I looked up in the last 3 months. So Goku joined on the 9th. Yeah, June 9th. And then we have the beginning of phase 1, phase 2, where June 25th was the last time you lost to Gale Force. And then Team Freedom and Tempo Storm in July. Then you won Bloodlust on the 30th. And then all 3 of those teams you 3-0'd in the second part of phase 2, including that 5-minute game, which I still can't understand. But aside from the obvious, the 3-0ing, what do you think is the main difference between parts 1 and 2 of phase 2? Was Bloodlust kind of a springboard of development, or was that too different from HGC and it was just practice?
I think that was kind of just practice. Like the first part of phase 2, I'm saying that right?
Yes.
Okay. The first part of phase 2, we were going through like pretty insane changes as a team with picking up Goku. I don't think that was really the reason that we struggled in that first part. Like I think if we still had Yoda, we would have still lost the same amount of games when we were in that time. That was mostly like we felt like we'd all hit a ceiling when we went to Sweden, and so we wanted to figure out like what the team can do to get past that ceiling so that we're not plateaued. And like with charts and like with anything, like if you want to go past like a plateau, like you have to go down first, and that was like pretty much like what that phase was, or that part was. It was like we had to like basically break everything up and like start from scratch during that time so that we could do better than we were doing. And basically what happened is we kind of changed how we were doing like drafting, we changed how we were doing like shot calling a little bit, and we pretty much just had to like figure out what our new roles were on the team, because with Goku as part of it, he plays similar heroes to what Glaurung plays, so we had to figure out how to accommodate both of them having heroes that they're comfortable on in a draft. We had to accommodate like the different shot calling styles that we like Glaurung had, and then like what like we wanted to do as a team with like Goku on the roster, like so we could play the game differently with Goku because he's so aggressive in like the off lane, and he like almost always wins his off lane. So like we had to pretty much like rebuild everything, like draft, shot calling, like pretty much everything. So we were literally using that entire like split just to break that stuff apart and rebuild it. And then Bloodlust was around the time that we had like finally gotten everything figured out. Like that was like when like finally everything was starting to be like put back together. And then since Bloodlust, it's just been like pretty much up from there.
Yeah, it definitely shows.
Yeah. Bloodlust was definitely your guys' like kind of coming out party for sure. Like, oh, these guys are for real.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I just I don't have a lot here. You should continue.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I did a little bit more research. So, speaking of Buds, your history with him, the reliance between you over time, you know, from your history in school and all of that, is something that I believe that players and teams can learn from. And the fluidity you've shown obviously is reflective of that. What would you describe as the difference between good players and a good team?
I think there's a lot of good players, but I think there's like very few good teams. I think Heroes of the Storm is so teamwork dependent and like team focused that you could take the 5 best players in each role and put them on the same team and they won't be the best team. Like I think that's sort of like what happened with, that's kind of like what was my theory on Tempo Storm when Tempo Storm was just dominating everybody. Like after they had won a little bit, I was thinking like I didn't think at the time that they were all 5 were just the best in slot in their roles, but as a team they played together well and they just like won everything. And I think now that's still true. So I feel like I think like the biggest thing is just like if you are like if there is a good player, like he just needs to make sure that he is like a team player first, because that's what matters more. Like I think that being able to work well with others and having like bringing a lot to a team environment matters way more than what you can do on your own, especially in Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
To you, how important is having a team coach for accomplishing that?
Well, since we haven't had one, not at all, I guess.
Not at all, I guess. Yeah.
That's something that
You're
we're
your
kind
own
of looking
coach.
into. Yeah, it's something that we're sort of looking into because we feel like that might be something that could help like bring us to a higher level. But as of right now, we've gotten this far without having any kind of like external coach or analyst. But I do feel like that is something that should be valuable.
Maybe for season 2 of HGC.
Yeah, or even BlizzCon, we're considering it. We're like thinking about it.
Nice. Now you've played together with Buds a long time. You read that you also played WoW. Was that PvE or PvP that you played?
It was with him it was mostly PvP, but we were just doing like battlegrounds and stuff and like arena and stuff. But we both did some other stuff in WoW, I guess. Like I did a lot of raiding before I really played with him. I was a little bit more into WoW than he was.
Another statistical thing, rating.
Yeah, I was really into raiding. I had to like get into a late night raiding guild in like middle school so that I could make soccer practice and raid at the same time. Like I'd like go to like I'd wake up or I'd have to get up for school and be super tired because I had like raids the night before and stuff like that. Like
I think there's a lot of people involved in Blizzard who have gone through that as well.
yeah.
But on a less serious note, let's say you're not in a serious mood. If you were to play quick match and hit auto select, what is the worst possible option it could be when the game loads?
Probably murky.
Oh.
I tried. I thought it would be a fun idea to play him. I played him yesterday in quick match, and I just didn't have any fun. It was such a mistake.
I think maybe that's because you're so used to tanking. It's not so fun to tank with Murky.
Yeah. No.
Jumping in on Heroes. Heroes, obviously, I personally feel like it's grown. It's been a very it's been a work in progress, but I think they're finally been hitting their stride over the past year and a half, where they've really kind of smoothed out the release of Heroes and everything. But when you think about Heroes, if there was one thing you could change, what would it be?
Right now, I wish they would remove armor, revert all the armor changes, or like fix armor, because right now I think that's kind of an issue.
What do you use an issue with that?
Just that me as a tank on an Uberak, I'm no tankier. Like I take the same amount of damage when I get hit as like a Vala does at 13, like with Gloom. Just stuff like that. I think that's an issue. There's like no difference. Like I can be a big scary Diablo, but I'm gonna actually take less damage from getting hit than like a Vala with Gloom or like any hero with armor. I think that's kind of bad.
Okay.
That's fair
Yeah,
enough.
I mean, was always weird to me that the tanks they didn't have any very different properties other than what was in their kit and skill tree. So that's definitely something that could fix that.
Mm-hmm. Are there any Blizzard characters that you would like to see in the game that aren't already?
Not so much. Maybe if any new tanks would be welcome. I'm trying to think if there's anyone really. It'd be cool to get like one of the. I don't want to mess up what I call them because I'll get. Oh, give me a pit lord. I want one of those, like a Manaroth or something.
Okay.
I want one of those. Be a tank.
Okay.
Jiraxis, I think, was one of them as well.
Probably. There's a lot of them. I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah, the lore fiends will come for you.
Yeah.
Blizzard has a lot of those.
Yeah.
I will gladly take all the lore Twitter bullets. I'm terrible at lore, so direct them here.
Nice. But yeah, Heroes has been a game that's been building for a long time now. With the competitive aspect in HGC, how do you think there can be growth from the amateur scene into the pro scene to make it grow more in North America? Is there anything that you think would assist that, like as far as like more events or things like that?
I think maybe just more incentive for players in general. I'm not sure what the plan is for next year, but for a lot of people, it's like the base salary for this year was like a really good start by Blizzard. I think that's good. but that's not gonna actually like make people come from like other games. It's not gonna like make people like really focus on like going pro at the game. They're not gonna like quit their jobs to do it, like unless the payout is higher. So I think that's a big issue. Maybe more incentive for open teams, just in general, not even for winning open, but just incentive for open. Because I feel like there should be more teams, or just like more. Maybe Blizzard could like sponsor like small like in-house leagues. Like I'm not sure if it's still going on, but like there was like chair league and stuff like that, just so that people can play in team environments more and see if they actually like it.
Yeah.
Because I think that stuff helps a lot. Also, I guess like they're doing good with like the college stuff, but just having more players in open in general, I think, is like the biggest thing. Because I'll watch the open from time to time, and I'll see the same people that I was like playing with, like trying to make teams with, and like people who like didn't want to play with me like 2 years ago and stuff like that. And it's like I'll still see them in open. It's like I'm not sure where the new players are, but I think there just aren't enough players in open for it to get too competitive. Like I think the Crucible teams, for the most part, should be the HGC teams should be fairly safe for the most part. Besides maybe like the top open team having a chance.
Yeah, that is a problem without incentivization for the amateur teams that are regularly placing between 5th and 8th. You know, they have no real drive, and it can probably feel like they're chasing a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow that doesn't exist. You know, because it's so hard to break into open.
Yeah.
So this has been a phenomenal year for your team. Like, to think about when we first started covering HGC, and we obviously we're not trying to talk about this, but the Chew 8 fiasco at the beginning, and how far everything has come from that point where we're going, man, these guys are probably going to get bounced in the Crucible with all this drama around the team. Are they going to be able to, like, because this was like a week before the league started and everything. So you, Justine, what do you hope people remember the most about Roll20 at the end of this year?
I guess just I think it's kind of like we're an example of like the sort of like almost like new blood coming to like the top. I think Freedom is also an example of that, but because everyone expected like the teams that were like previously already at the top, like the old like hardcore veterans, to be the best. But I think what happens is in the league format, everyone gets better much faster. So when you have that league format, basically the teams that benefit from that the most are going to be the newer players who haven't had as much experience. So then suddenly the veterans get like pushed out. So which is kind of what happened. Like now, like a lot of like the old like diehard veterans, besides like Glarong, almost all of them are on like the lower teams, and like Team Freedom, it's like mostly new players, like, and us, like we like coming up. So I feel like it's basically just don't underestimate, I guess, like the newer players, or like the quote like weaker players, because they usually have the most improvements to be made from like a league system. It's pretty much like what happened with us.
That's a great answer. I ask you what you want people to remember about your team, and you hope that it's an inspiring message for other teams coming up, and to not sleep on other teams. That's great.
We talked about that last week a little, Charlie, about how it wasn't that the higher teams were getting worse. It was that everyone else was getting better.
Yeah, definitely.
And they weren't waking up to that too. So
because we were talking about Tempo Storm and why they might have fallen, and
and Liquid too. Same with Liquid. But wrapping up for me, outside of HGC and competing for the title, what do you look forward to during BlizzCon?
Oh, just the venue. I think BlizzCon, I've never been to it, but I've seen like pictures and stuff. Yeah, it'll be really exciting. Yeah, it looks amazing. It just, and, like, just meeting people, it'll be really cool.
The statues even just are really cool to walk around and see all the statues and everything.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see if we have fans too, because the last 2 events we went to were in Europe, so like maybe saw like one person who was like heroes. Like you're not Fnatic, like.
There's quite a bit over the last year. I remember last year we couldn't even find seats for the finals. We had to sit in a different hall because it was completely full. So it's definitely building, and we have the new hall this year. So it'll be interesting to see what moves around.
The narrative around your team too seems to be the great hope of NA. So I think you'll have plenty of people in attendance wanting to shake your hand and cheer you on.
I definitely agree with that. I remember at the beginning of this, like you said, I remember watching somebody's cast about how they were kind of like, it was teammate place 8. Now it's like, oh, sorry we said that, you guys. Just kidding.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sure it's thrilling for you guys, and thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been a long time coming, but I did not want to interrupt that planning process that clearly paid off.
Yeah.
Like it was first we got the 22-0 against MVP Black. Now the 5-minute core. I'm kind of afraid of what's next. So
yeah, how do you top a 5-minute core?
Like months of draft prep, I guess. We've got like over a month for BlizzCon, so we'll see if we can do better than that.
Sure.
There you go.
It's great. It's great. Well, thank you for coming by. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I know all of us here at the Power Hour will be rooting for Roll20 at BlizzCon, so we really appreciate you stopping in. Yeah, a bit biased.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Any shout-outs or anything you want to mention before we go?
Oh, just shout-outs to Roll20. I'm selling out. Check out Roll20.
Check them out. Follow them on Twitter.
And the merchandise, the jerseys and everything.
Yeah, we're selling these and pink ones too.
Those are great. So yeah, buy those. Sell out and get those.
Yeah.
Because they're great.
That's pretty much it.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll be joining our regular cast in a moment here.
Thanks.
So I have to ask, Physical Art, are you getting a Roll20 jersey for BlizzCon? You're muted. We're all muted.
Sorry
because
about
I
that.
told you guys to be quiet. But thank you. Go ahead.
I am getting a jersey. I actually tweeted to somebody who bought one asking about the fit, and Roll20 company responded to the tweet with the sizing charts. And now that I know what size to order, I am actually planning on getting it this week. So I'm very excited about that.
I might have to do that as well, because I definitely want to support Roll20 at BlizzCon, and like Charlie said, the great NA hope seems to be
It's
Roll20.
difficult to decide because they have the home one is white and the away one is pink, and it's kind of tempting. So
yeah, but yeah, that was a really great interview, guys. Thank you guys for getting that set up and everything. And Zextrus, what's up?
There was additional things that were mentioned after the interview that we should probably touch on.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so like because I was the one that recorded that, but what had happened was they did the interview, fantastic job, you two, and then I jumped in because it would have been too jarring for this disembodied voice to start talking during the interview. But I touched on like my idea about how Blizzard could improve Team League by making it actually worth something, by either giving like the top team who don't have players on an HGC Open team that's already in the playoffs or something like that, giving them a playoff spot in the playoffs for the HGC Open is maybe I'll call it a wild card. And he was actually pretty interested. He didn't think that was a bad idea, and he mentioned that he definitely thought he definitely thought that Team League needed to have more value to it.
Yeah, some more incentives.
But do you guys? Because I don't really remember anything past that particular conversation.
No, we didn't talk too much after that because he had somewhere to go. So we let you ask your questions, and you pretty much bounced. We talked about Warcraft a little bit, I think.
We talked a little bit of Warcraft. We talked a little bit about PTR and Ana, but he said they don't really pay too much attention to that either. So
yeah, they don't play new heroes, because they're in tournament mode. So,
yeah, most definitely.
I think you might have a little feedback on your end.
Yeah, I've got something going on there. I don't know what is. There we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, good interview. Really enjoyed the insight from Justine. Definitely one of my favorite players in HGC right now. But we do have a patch to be talking about. We did get a brand new patch today, along with brand new hero and a brand new battleground, Ana from Overwatch, as well as Volskaya Foundry. Some really interesting changes though. Merc Camp's getting changed on the new map Foundry. Shrines and Battlefield of Eternity. So some new stuff to look forward to, Balrog fan.
Yeah, they're changing the Impaler and troop camps. They're basically giving them their early game health is going to be slightly decreased, but their base damage and scaling values have been increased roughly by 50%. There's a lot of complaints about the Impaler and Trooper camps not being as strong and not having as much value as other camps. So Blizzard listened and changed that up. I didn't really notice it. We did play on Battlefield of Eternity earlier, but I was primarily just fighting people and dying a lot in that one game. That was a bloodbath. So.
That was a mess of a game.
Yeah, I never really saw how much of an impact that has, but it's definitely a step in the right direction because they definitely were the least impactful out of all of the camps.
Mm-hmm.
And then some changes to Hanamura and Volskaya Foundry. How do you say it? Volskaya?
Volskaya?
Volskaya. Volskaya Foundry. Mercenary item drops no longer require a short channel to be picked up, which is kind of a big deal. Just a quick
Willie.
touch, and you can pick up things like the scouts and whatnot. And yeah, and support camps can no longer be captured with bribe talents as well. So that's probably good because those support camps were pretty strong when you could just basically get them for free.
Yeah, and I think these are good changes for the game overall. And any other thoughts about this before we move on to some of the other stuff?
Yeah, I just wanted, I think, on the support camp, there's a lot of feedback in like the community that they were all asking for it, but basically it's because it was debatably the strongest camp in the game because it actually could help you win a team fight, and it took one bribe stack. And so it was so low effort to get. It was really, really strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like same reason you can't bribe a boss, you know?
Yeah.
Too much value for that just meaningless giveaway, basically, of something that's easily farmed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then some other changes to certain vehicles. More specifically, the Dragon Knight got some changes between the PTR and today's patch, getting its movement speed reduced by 20% and starting health reduced from 9,300 to 8,350. So,
as a note, this is because
Yeah.
all of the vehicles are becoming unstoppable.
Mhm,
It's not
exactly.
just a random Dragon Knight nerf.
No, yeah, it's because they're on top of the unstoppable. Got to adjust that a little bit. And Volskaya Foundry is added to the rotation. I actually haven't played the Battleground yet, so I'm interested to see how it plays out.
I got to play a game on it today, and it was about 1 billion times better than Hanamura will ever be. Like, it was legitimately fun the entire time. Like, the first 10 minutes were just like this constant bloodbath as everyone was trying to just capture that first point. So
Yep.
it was a hell of a lot of fun. And then
Did you play the conveyor belt game?
No, because I was playing Diablo. I was playing Diablo at the time, so the conveyor belts never really affected me that much if I had somebody there. I take that back. I kinda did. I body blocked somebody because one of those conveyor belts has kind of like a little choke point where there's two little blocks. I think it's on the bottom, and like I just body blocked somebody completely as Diablo just by like planting my body there so they couldn't like run away. It was pretty funny. So that was my experience on Volskaya.
Yeah, I think. So I don't remember if we've had this discussion before. Maybe we had it last week. But how do y'all feel about new maps going immediately into the ranked queue?
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't think that's something that's very beneficial for the players trying to rank up, obviously.
I think it's kind of the same thing. New maps and new heroes for at least 1 week, the first week they're live, because there could be spite picks, there could be people picking it because they played it on the PTR and it's so much the same and it's not really anything even close. So just even 1 week is good.
Yeah, I totally agree that there should be some sort of grace period before we get a completely brand new map just thrown into ranked play. But yeah, I'm excited to play the new Battleground. It definitely looks like a huge improvement over Hanamura, our last Battleground that we got into the game. But this patch also included a whole bunch of brand new hero changes. We did get to see Nova get some changes. Sight is increased on the holo decoy, so it has the same exact vision as a regular hero. Remote delivery was removed at 4, and holo stability at 4 got increased cast range, sight range, and duration of holo decoy by 100%. Oh, I thought someone wanted to say something there, so I stopped. But yeah, we do have anti-armor shells at level 7, getting additional functionality. Basic attacks also decrease the physical armor, but your target by 10 for 3 seconds. And then psionic efficiency at 13, range increase from 10 to 15%. So some quality of life changes for Nova, it looks like.
Some utility stuff, mostly with the clone, but that's nice to give it, because right now it's mostly there to juke players who can't keep track of anything.
Mm-hmm.
And once they have played against Nova like 3 times, it's a useless ability. I guess it's pretty good if you're like diving towers and stuff, because if you drop that first and then you shoot, it's nice. But other than that,
I actually use it to soak tower shots in the early game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a good use of it.
It's really, really useful in that regard. I mean, and every once in a while you bait a few abilities out, which is nice, but mostly it's to pull them. It's to pull enemies off the wave and soak tower shots.
Yeah, but giving us vision stuff will be nice.
Yeah, you can actually use it as a scouting tool now.
The psionic efficiency increase on the snipe is also, I imagine, pretty impactful. I don't know how much that translates with that extra 5%, but having more range on snipe's definitely a good thing.
Yeah, you're never going to complain about getting additional range on abilities, I don't think. So, good stuff for Nova players. I haven't played Nova in a long time. I don't know if this will change that at all. But, yeah, some other really big hero changes. Looking at Rhaegar, as I bring these up right now. But Rhaegar, they only changed chain heal stuff, but these are pretty significant changes. Chain heal cast range is being reduced from 8 to 6, bounce range reduced from 8 to 7, and primary target healing reduced from 334 to 250. But the secondary bounce healing has been increased from 167 to 250. So that burst healing he initially got on the queue, not going to be nearly as good, and it's going to be a little bit harder to get maximum value out of the bounces, and that's going to be interesting. It's going to be an adjustment for players, because it is a range change.
Yeah, and I think this is something that was kind of needed, because back when Rhaegar was first made, back in the alpha days, he's just kind of like, the guy who had the bounce heals. That's really his whole identity. That's all that needed to be thought about. Well, now you got heroes like Stukov, where you got to place the globe and you got to rely on your targets to spread it. Morales has energy management. There's a lot more dynamic aspects of heroes support kits these days, and Chain Heal felt kind of busted for how good it was. It was just so brain dead, basically. So they're making a little bit of skill involved. Putting a little skill involvement behind Chain Heal, that's going to also require a little bit of knowledge and teamwork from your teams, because the bounce healing will be more important than the initial, or just as important, rather.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you said, it makes it more consequential how you decide who gets that initial heal versus how it used to be before. Any other support players want to chime in? I think I like these changes because Rhaegar was kind of climbing up to be numero uno support player, support hero. So this helps bring him down, I think, a little bit from the sky.
Yeah, I definitely agree. He really his ability to solo merc camps gives him an edge on most heroes, and his damage is pretty good. So you got to hurt him somewhere without hurting his kit. So I think this was the way to go.
Yeah, definitely. As far as other heroes that got changed, the big one really is Johanna. I don't know who wants to talk about this, but there's a ton of changes here. Zexus, have you had a chance to look through these changes?
I haven't gotten a chance to play the new Johanna yet, but I'm definitely interested in especially her falling sword rework. It seems useful now. Yeah, the damage is reduced, but it has that mini stun on it, the bounce up, and then it adds that 50% slow. And that is actually going to be really, really good. So really, I'm looking forward to messing around with that. The Laws of Hope changes are pretty interesting to me, if I'm honest, because I assume those will scale over the course of the game.
Yeah,
I think it's a safe assumption.
They put hold your ground at level 1, which I feel, an increase on Iron Skin Shield and its cooldown is reduced by 4 seconds seems a lot more important than Laws of Hope now, to me.
A 30% of your max health shield or heal is pretty nice, though.
Yeah, it is, but aren't you really, if you're Johanna, you got to just trust your support to heal you when you have an option like getting Iron Skin, reduced by 4 seconds.
But taking that responsibility or lessening the pressure on your support can also be pretty big, I think, as well.
Well, it's true, but you do that by having more access to Iron Shield. Iron Shield is a 20%. It increases the shield by an additional 20%. It's already a very strong shield for damage mitigation, and having access to it more often, I don't know.
Well,
I think you could make an argument for both. That's what's the fun part about this.
Yeah, that's fair. Zex has been trying to jump in here.
Yeah,
Zex.
sorry about that.
Yeah, so here's the thing about Laws of Hope. The 20-second cooldown means you get 30% of your maximum health back faster. You combine that with the normal cooldown of Iron Skin, and you're probably going to get more value over time from the Laws of Hope healing every 40 seconds. So that's something to think about as well, because it heals under your shield and then continues on from there. So that's why I'm thinking Laws of Hope is still going to end up being the pick, but Hold Your Ground is definitely nothing to sneeze at either.
I just always pause when a talent gets moved from like 13 or 16 down to 1 or 4. You gotta really evaluate it.
You're not wrong. Her level 4 tree is just all kinds of weird to me now. Conviction, I believe, is either the move speed talent or it's the... I don't have heroes up in front of me right now.
I think it's the move speed.
Yeah, you get move speed when you activate your W, which is a really, really nice talent.
Yeah, that's an amazing talent for Johanna. Being able to, hit that conviction and then run in there and get more people stunned is absolutely amazing. I don't know what to think about Zealous Glare. I mean, being able to blind someone for up to 3 seconds is amazing. But you can't hit multiple people in that time. You've got to commit to somebody. Otherwise that blind will wear off eventually.
I'm sure that'll get taken when you take her as a counter pick,
yeah.
When you're trying to blind Illidan or something.
Subdue, I think, is going to be the way to go with its new functionality. Just because of how teamfight oriented Johanna is and her ability to hit multiple heroes with a single punish, that 80% slow is going to be absolutely, insane. The Holy Fury is going to be incredible as well. Like I want to like Blessed Hammer. That used to be my go-to, but
I hate Blessed Hammer. It's one of my least favorite talents in the game.
It was pretty bad, honestly. But like the rest of her talents at 16 were pretty garbage.
Yeah, but just like it feels so random. Like I got this big hammer flying around that may or may not actually accomplish anything.
No, you gotta know where the start point is on the hammer, and then you can kind of play around that. But the Holy Fury is just going to be absolutely insane, especially with Falling Sword and now Conviction at level 4. Each hero being hit by Condemn increases its damage by 40% for 5 seconds. So if you hit 5 heroes with a Condemn, that's 200% increase on Holy Fury. And combine that with Johanna's ability to just walk forward on people with and people not being able to stop that, is just going to be absolutely insane. Fanaticism, I like it. Increasing the duration of Iron Skin by 2 seconds is always nice. The Blinded by the Light talent is the one that is really going to be. It makes me pause. Because Indestructible is usually the way to go, right? But giving her a Storm Shield talent that has a cooldown for every enemy hero you hit with a shield glare by 8 seconds, that's actually kind of insane. Because some of these team fights in the late game kind of just drag out sometimes, and if you're hitting repeated shield glares, that's another possible 25% shield coming out to your heroes consistently. Indestructible.
You can theoretically hit 5 people at once, and you only need to hit 12 to get a full reset.
About. Well, no, not even that, because if
it's 5 seconds, not 8. If you're going by 8.
Right.
Wait. The patch notes say
5
reduce the cooldown by 8 seconds.
Yeah, the patch notes say 8 seconds. So
the ability says 5 when I hover it.
Oh. Huh.
Well, I'm going by what the patch notes say. It says 8 seconds. So if it's 5 seconds, then maybe it gives me a little bit more.
You need to hit 12 heroes for a full cooldown reduction.
Yeah. And we are getting confirmation that people are saying in game it does say 5. So the 5 and the 8 are really close to one another on the number key. Maybe someone at Blizzard mashed fat finger to 5 into an 8.
They're using a numpad.
Yes.
But still, that's a couple of shield glares, and that comes out really quickly in team fights. So that
something like that makes her pseudo, like an off support.
Yeah,
that's a lot of shielding.
Yeah,
it's really hard to give up Indestructible though, because that just it saves you so many times more than it should.
It saves you a lot, but if you can heal or give your allies like it's almost like a Lucio ult. It just fades a little faster.
Yeah,
and you can conceivably get 2 off in a team fight. Like that seems to me like it's going to be more valuable than I get a 4-second invulnerability.
Yeah, because Indestructible did get a slight nerf as well.
Yeah, its duration is down to 4 seconds from 5. But like, I am really, really, really interested in this new Johanna, and I'm looking forward to being able to mess around with her. Maybe I'll start playing her tomorrow on the Smurf. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing, especially messing around with the new Falling Sword.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I'm really excited to see how she plays, and definitely she's been one of my favorite heroes to play in the past. And with me playing Warriors a bit more consistently now, I definitely will jump onto that. Any closing thoughts on this patch before we move on to esports stuff? Because
The
Elena.
Dehaka skin is probably one of my favorite things in this entire patch right now.
Oh, right.
Which one is that?
The Diva Haka?
Oh, yeah, that's
the
a good one.
Diva Dehaka skin. If you haven't seen it yet, there is a new pink Dehaka skin and pink Lucio skin that are pretty spectacular.
I want that Lucio one.
I just
Yeah,
want
it's
them to
pretty darn
bring
good.
I just want them to bring Gretzky Lucio in finally. I've been waiting for that one.
Yeah, the Hot Rod Tracer one is pretty good, but the Dehaka one is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, no, definitely go check out the new skins. There's a lot of cool stuff. But as far as esports stuff, we had our final weekend of HGC Pro for 2017. It's kind of sad.
It's been a really good year.
I know, but it seems
like-
so late in the year.
Well, doesn't it feel like, I don't know about you because I was thinking about this the other day, but man, this feels like it has just been like a very long road to get here. And
has
it's rare
been.
for me to be this involved in something like that's, sports related, esports related for this consistently, So I really think they've done a good job of pulling in someone like me who at best was a casual fan of like esports in general, I play for fun, that's me basically. So hats off to HU. Like we're just at like kind of a stopping point right now. Well, not really a stopping point. We're going into the playoffs, but it's a good time to reflect when the league is over and you move on to the playoffs.
Yeah, most definitely. I think we'll do that in a couple of weeks actually. Kind of really reflect on this because there's going to be that downtime period between before BlizzCon. But this week we have some cool stuff to really be looking forward to, as both HGC Pro and HGC Open have their playoffs coming up very, very soon here. HGC Pro playoffs are this weekend, but really quickly, we're going to go through the final standings of the regular season as we go through NA, which is going to be Roll20Esports. We just talked to Justine about their performance and how they've been doing. They finished at 11-3, securing the #1 seed from North America and punching that ticket to BlizzCon. Team Freedom as well at 11-3, punching their ticket to BlizzCon. I don't know if this came down to their head-to-head matchup or just the game win-loss record, but obviously Roll20 had that whatever the tiebreaker was there, so that they have that. #3 was Gale Force Esports at 10-4. For the #1 seed for the playoffs coming up this weekend. Tempo Storm at 8-6, Space Station Gaming at 6-8, Superstars at 5-9, Lag Force at 4-10 into the Crucible, and Even in Death at 1-13 into the Crucible. Space Station Gaming, like, what happened to them? We were so excited for them, I think, early on in the season, and then they kind of just faltered a little bit.
I think in Phase 1, Tempo Storm was slumping a little bit, and Team Freedom was still kind of getting things together. So Phase 2, Freedom really picked it up, and Space Station stayed, I don't know, I don't think Space Station really changed between the two phases. Tempo Storm got their act back together, Team Freedom really improved, and there's only so many spots at the top.
Yeah,
I still think they're miles better than Superstars.
Yeah. No, they've been a lot more consistently competitive than Superstars have been.
So let's go to the playoffs then and kind of talk about our thoughts about this coming up Friday, September 29th, in a best of 5. It's going to be Superstars versus Space Station Gaming. Carl, you just said you think Space Station is kind of heads above Superstars, and I think I agree with you. I think it'll be either 3-1 or 3-0 in favor of Space Station. Any other thoughts on this series? I think this is probably the easiest one to to call out of the NA playoffs.
I'll be really, really surprised if Superstars wins this. They just don't look good right now.
Yeah, it's hard to pick Superstars with the way they've been playing. Space Station Gaming has been doing well enough to look like the favorites here for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then just going down that path, we're thinking it'll be Tempo Storm and Space Station Gaming. I feel like Tempo Storm is strong enough at this point that they should beat them 3-1, 3-2 maybe. Yeah, I feel like this one's pretty straightforward this time around. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, it's hard to pick.
What do you think, Elena?
It's hard to pick. 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 It's Yeah, I mean, and then of course, if that plays out the way we think it's going to be Gale Force versus Tempo Storm, and it's hard to pick against Gale Force, you know?
Yeah.
No, not for me right now. Like,
I think
They can beat Tempo Storm.
I
Or
don't
Tempo
think
Storm can beat
I
Gale Force,
don't-
rather.
I think Space Station Gaming could beat Gale Force right now.
I don't agree with that.
That's fine. You are free to disagree with me on this, but if Space Station somehow makes it past Tempo Storm, which with this, both Tempo and Gale Force have kind of been faltering here in the recent weeks. They haven't looked as strong as they should. I don't think Gale Force or Tempo Storm can beat Space Station Gaming if they actually show up. Now in the case that Tempo Storm moves on, I think Tempo Storm just rolls Gale Force. Like, I don't. Sorry, Jimmy. I know you're gonna argue with me on that, and that's fine. But like, Gale Force just is not looking the same that they did at the start of Phase 2. They've got to figure out what's going wrong over there, and they've got to really just hammer it down at this point. You know.
I'm just going off past performance, and Gale Force has beaten Tempo Storm both times they played in the regular season. 3-2 the first time, and 3-1 back at the beginning of September. So I don't know. I feel like Gale Force. I think they've got this. I'm not too worried about them. Both them and Tempo Storm, I know at least, are scrimming in person, preparing for these matches. So I think they're both taking this very serious. I don't know what Space Station Superstars are necessarily doing to prep for this, but I know both Gale Force and Tempo have been very public about their preparation for HGC playoffs, and I know Tempo Storm's in like LA right now altogether. I think Gale Force is in LA as well, so that'll be interesting if they do match up against each other.
It should help. They were definitely both struggling with their games, especially like, say, one of them. Obviously, one of them does take that third spot. Like, who is going to help them as far as the BlizzCon tournament? Like, where's their stepping stone, or is it just going to fall back down again? Yeah,
the one thing I will give you extras is they are changing a couple of roles, and shot calling, I think, is changing as well, or they were playing around with that the last week or so. So that is something that changing that this close is a little scary, but we'll see. That's why we play these out. That's why we watch this, because I say Gale Force. Zexter says not Gale Force, so we'll have to see. And I think they'll all be really, really good series going into this weekend. But we have EU to talk about as well. We already know all about Fnatic and Dig. They got to BlizzCon expert, solidifying themselves at 8-6 for that spot on the playoffs. So they have the first spot on the playoffs, and they'll be waiting at the end of the bracket to play for that final BlizzCon spot from EU. But we do have, first up, Team Liquid versus Team Wish, which I believe is formerly Team Zealots. Am I correct on that?
You are correct.
Okay. Team Wish versus Team Liquid, and both the bottom three of the playoffs are all 6 and 8, I believe, which makes things really interesting. I don't know. This is a really hard one to call. Team Liquid has not looked nearly as good as they have in the past, and Zealots has been. I don't know. You can say that about, I feel like, all these three teams that are staying at 6 and 8.
You know, it's kind of a sad thing. I was listening to kind of a conversation that Bakery had, and I absolutely agree with it, is that the situation that happened with Zealots and the Zealots player, it really didn't punish the player as much as it punished their team, because their team could have been in that third spot without those last 2 losses that they suffered because of the incident that happened. So going forward for them with this new mindset, are they going to start over? Is it going to help them, or is it going to hurt them in the long run? Because the whole team suffered for that, and it's kind of sad to me.
Well, as long as ETC doesn't just sit there and do nothing, they have a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance?
He got punished, and the punishment was fine. I think the team, they lost because their teammate, their member, somebody who was supposed to represent the organization, represent the team, was being an idiot. So I don't think there's anything wrong with them losing games.
So you think it's okay to punish the entire team for one player's
You're part
action
of a team. You're not a single player.
Outside of team action.
Yeah. I don't care who you are. You are part of that team.
Interesting.
You have to understand that your actions are
That's how traditional sports are.
Yeah, no, and it's codified in the Blizzard HGC rules that you are to maintain professional behavior in and out of the game.
No, I understand that, but they're punished more than he is because of that, because they didn't do that, so they're being punished because their sub player that they didn't practice with had to deal with this, and they had to deal with working with somebody else, so they're getting more of the punishment in the end.
Yeah, and I'm sure the team will. I'm sure the team will take that into consideration.
At most, the same amount of punishment because he still gets a loss on his record, but he also didn't get to play.
The thing is, though, he acted like a jerk, and you can't stop someone from acting like a jerk. Like you can't like if you're part of a team and one person just starts acting like a jerk, you just got to roll with it. It sucks that the whole team is punished, but what are you going to do? No one can like control the situation. It's up to that person to not be a jerk, and you can't really screen people who are, good enough to play on a pro team in HGC on their personalities. Like,
I think you have to. I mean, like, it's still like a kind of like a young scene, and like traditionally, like there's people in like the league scene I follow who are just like, who can be kind of toxic, and people are like, we got to pick him up because he's like the best jungler, and it's like it's just not worth it. I know right now I don't know how big the pool of like really good players is, and some teams are probably like, we got to pick this guy up because he's just really good and that's what we need. But for the like sustainability of esports, you have to pick more than just the best mechanical player in solo queue.
Oh, I totally agree. It's just, it is weird that the damage is more punitive towards the team members who are trying, though. You know what I'm saying?
Collar your teammates.
He said something along the lines of maybe fining that teammate or removing that teammate for an entire year so that they can rebuild the team without them.
Well, what happens after that year? Do they just, hey, welcome back?
Not sure.
A fine would have been.
It was just
like,
food for thought.
I think a fine would be good, like to say like this is an additional like punishment for that specific player.
Yeah.
But I still don't have a problem with removing him from that game.
I don't have a problem with it, but I also see your argument, physical art. Like, I understand that the kind of frustration behind that. But that's just unfortunate part of playing a team game.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of if they had maybe won those two games, I still think that Expert has the best chance out of the four.
Yep. Expert, in my opinion, definitively the third best team in Europe.
Yeah, I really... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Liquid has a habit of suddenly showing up at LANs and, like, tournament play and anything that's not just week-to-week league. Like, Liquid is suddenly money sometimes. So, and Expert has a history of choking. I love Expert, but, man, do they mess up in the big moments sometimes. And EU, I feel like it's a lot less predictable than NA, because in the middle you got Tricked Esports, who either look like one of the best teams in the world sometimes, or they look like they should be in the Crucible. Like they are such a Jekyll and Hyde team. And that's understandable when you're playing against like Fnatic and stuff, but like when it's these three, I can't tell you confidently how I feel about Tricked Out Esports. They're either the best team or they're just going to get rolled by a team they shouldn't lose to.
Well, here's my thought, and this makes it pretty simple for me. Considering the length of time some of these teams have been together, if your team Liquid you have this thing falling around you called a curse. And it seems that curse is currently active for them.
Willie was not paid by Steve.
No. But, like, I don't think Liquid wins. It'll probably go 3-2. But I definitely won't be surprised if Team Liquid... This isn't the same Team Liquid that went undefeated, the first, half of Phase 1 and going into Phase 2 during the regular season. Western Clash not included. But, like, whoever... It's kind of like what Charlie said. Whoever faces Tricked is either going to show up and just thoroughly drum them, or they're just going to get bodied free. And then they're just going to lose to whoever. And Team America, it's just going to beat that winner anyways. So, I mean, really, we could just call this done and just
I'm kind of with Zex here. Like, yeah, I definitely feel like Team Expert, they've been more consistent throughout the year. They played it, what was it, Western Clash?
Yeah, they took second at Western Clash, which is really we can say they took first because Fnatic is just not fair right now.
Fnatic's not a Western team, they're a world team now.
Yeah, they're like Fnatic is not even on this planet currently. They're currently exiting the solar system. That's how far above Fnatic is above everybody else right now. But like the problem with Tricked is they don't show up 2 games in a row. You'll get one amazing game out of them, and then Clown Fiesta level nonsense out of them the next. Like, they don't show up 2 in a row.
Excuse me, sir, that is a trademark term for North America.
I meant what I said.
I meant the wrong region.
Huh?
Said Tricked Esports is in the wrong region.
Exactly.
Oh
that's
my goodness.
Yes. That's the joke. But like the Team Expert, like first through third is one level. Okay, Fnatic, then second and third is one, like 2 different levels, and then like there's a gap the size of the Atlantic Ocean between Tricked, Liquid, and Team Wish. Like Expert just beats all of these like teams just free. Like there's no way any of these 3
I don't know about free.
Close. No, it's going to be a 3-0 and it's going to be silly.
Here's Carl's pessimistic predictions for NA and EU
Somebody coined that.
play-ins. All right, NA don't matter because none of them are anywhere close to the top 2 NA teams, and the top 2 NA teams don't perform well on an international stage anyways. And then most of the EU ones don't matter because Expert is a lot better than everybody else.
There you have it.
And get off his lawn.
Yes.
I'm
my
so
goodness.
sad there's not a I can't find a synonym for pessimistic that starts with K.
Oh man, but interestingly enough, I know we really don't talk about the Korean side of things, but Tempest is in the playoffs as well on the Korean side of the bracket. They're the final boss, so to say, with MVP Black and L5 having already qualified. L5, the winners of last BlizzCon, they have punched their ticket to defend their title, and that should be interesting.
Yeah, and from what I like, because I wake up early enough to catch the backside of like Korea games. MVP Miracle's not going to do it. Team Blossom's definitely not going to do it. Mighty sure as hell isn't going to do it. So yeah, this is really Tempest's
To lose, yeah.
bid to lose. Like I really don't see it them messing this up. Like probably I for them to lose this, like Hong Kano is gonna have to like fall asleep at the keyboard, like literally. and maybe Hyde has an aneurysm.
Oh my goodness.
And then maybe Mighty will have a chance, because I'm gonna be honest, like MVP Miracle should be a Crucible team, but exists, and they are by like.
For a minute, I thought you were making that up.
Nope. That's their name.
It's
I actually forgot about that team.
How does Wolf pronounce that over on the English cast? I want to know.
I think he just says Triple R.
Triple
I
R.
remember.
Okay. That doesn't roll off the tongue
I think Even in Death could just have a field day with Like that's how bad this team is. That's not a knock on Even in Death, because they did show a lot of improvement, and I hope they're gonna play Heroes Hearth, and I'm really sorry, guys. But
they have the same record, except for did it in Korea, and Even in Death did it in NA.
That doesn't mean anything.
That's all P-Flame has to say.
And you're 7-39 on a 8-game loss streak. Okay, that doesn't mean anything here.
Oh my goodness.
I
Even Death managed to win one more game. They're 8-40.
See, right there. That's all you need. They took a game off the #1 team in NA, the only team to do it. That alone is a moral victory for Even in Death.
It's a moral victory. It says nothing about their actual skill level.
It's true. But is easily the worst team I've ever watched. Like,
You watched our 5-stack replays, right?
I think we could take her.
No,
I can't. I have nothing positive to say about these, like about their play at all. Like the fact that they won games is boggling to me.
Oh my goodness. All right.
I don't even remember who they won against, but I think it might have been MVP Miracle or Raven, because Raven's pretty awful too, if I'm honest. But enough of my Korean rant.
But yeah, tons of HGC to be watching this weekend. Super excited. And then the week after, when we have our show next week, is HGC Open Playoffs, which we're hoping to cast, but we'll see if we get some of those games. Anyways, yeah, we've had a pretty long show, so I think we're going to start closing things out. But before we do, make sure to check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/heroespower. If you like what we're doing, want to support what we're doing, you can do so there. There's all sorts of rewards over there. Won't read them to you. You can go check them out for yourself and see what they are. Helps out with all the sword costs with running this show, with different hosts having different hardware and all sorts of stuff. 5 different hosts. It gets a little crazy. Helps keep this ship sailing, and we truly appreciate you guys listening to us and being patrons. Make sure to review us on iTunes and Google Play. 5-star reviews absolutely help the show get exposed to more people. And if you like the show, go ahead and take a few minutes out of your day to go do that, and we would super appreciate it. Check out blizzpro.com, our parent, our host of our show, doing a really great job of helping us out throughout the years. But yeah, check out blizzpro.com to hear the newest episodes and stay up to date on all the current Blizzard news, including the Battle.net app that came out for iOS and Android today. So you can chat on the go if you want. How exciting. But yeah, check out youtube.com/BlizzPro for old episodes of the Heroes Power, including our illustrious Illidan episode from many years ago.
Honestly, this is just randomly and off topic. Well, not really off topic, but if they want to make that Blizzard app really cool, they should put in the emojis from Heroes.
There we go. Free advice from us.
You know what else they should put in there? An invisible mode.
Yes. Also, we're on Discord, discord.blizzpro.com. Come check us out there. Chat with us throughout the week. Find people to play games with, etc. And check out our other shows on the BlizzPro Network. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific is West March Workshop. Thursdays at 7 p.m. Pacific is Payload Podcast. Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific is Well Met. And Arcane Analysis comes out in audio form only. final thoughts before we head off on our way. What was that? Goodness.
I dropped my ring.
Okay. Balrog Fan BP, where can people find you? What are you up to this week?
You can find me on Twitter if you want to fight me in Marvel vs. Capcom. I got it on PS4, so if anybody wants to play that, feel free to hit me up. I play Windjammers too. I play Heroes if asked to play Heroes. You'll never just see me on Heroes like by myself. I need to be invited to Heroes. So
Yeah.
if you want to play Heroes with me, just send me an invite, and I'll probably log on if I'm not working.
There you go.
And check out Nexus commentaries.
Yeah, Nexus commentaries.
We're casting Cheer League. We've got a big announcement coming, and we're doing HGC Open. We're doing a ton of stuff. So head on over to Nexus commentaries and hit that follow button, and we will bring you as much amateur action as we possibly can, because we want to make sure all this stuff on the lower team, on the lower side of HGC gets its casting done as well. So that's our project.
There we go. Zexters, how about you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Zextris. You can follow me on Twitch. I'll probably be streaming that little experiment I'm doing at the Zextris Heroes on Twitch. Again, check out Nexus commentaries. We're streaming the D1 semifinals between Rixer for Kids and AD Easy, I believe. Rixer for Kids still undefeated. Yada yada. Yep, definitely got a big announcement coming up. Project I've been working on putting together. Everyone's been coming together real nice on it, and I appreciate everybody's help. So definitely check that out Thursday. We may have another project coming up on Wednesday nights with me and I believe P Flame. So yeah. Check us out tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, Nexus commentaries.
There you go. Go check that out and support that project from Zex and Balrog Fan and PFlameG and everyone else involved in that project. Physical Art, how about you?
You're involved with it too, baby.
I know.
If you decide to stream that project you're working on, make sure to message me so I can bring popcorn for next time, because that was very entertaining, really. I just want to thank everyone for coming to watch the interview, and if you did like the interview, or if you have suggestions for the next one or requests for a certain player, as I am fortunately attending BlizzCon and I'm hoping to meet with some of the others and try to get more interviews while I'm there, maybe even some of the Australian or New Zealand teams, since the time difference is a little difficult to schedule. Send us a message on Twitter, and I will work on that.
Cool. So yeah, go ahead and do that. But
I got one more thing too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hashtag bring Hearthstone to Heroes. We need more Hearthstone representation in Heroes. We need the Innkeeper. We need Bear Shark. We need Aya Blackpaw, and we need Don Honcho. Bring Hearthstone to Heroes.
There you go. I would definitely like Aya in Heroes. Not the
Ninja Panther. It would be awesome. She throws shurikens. She's got a sword.
There you
She
go.
writes herself.
Summon Jades.
Don't make me play another panda, please.
Yes.
It was painful enough getting that portrait.
What I really want is Don Honcho, because that is Cho'Gall with a Tommy gun. That is amazing. Let's do that. And a three-piece suit.
Did we get to Carl?
Not yet. PFlameG, where can people find you? What are you up to this week?
I mean, anytime I'm streaming is going to be on the Nexus commentaries channel or on this one. Bring Warcraft maps to Heroes.
Yes.
Warsong Gulch.
I would love Warsong Gulch. Or it's just anything.
I captured the
and
Black
Overwatch
Bow.
and Heroes.
Hashtag stop Overwatch.
No, I
Haters.
just had a brilliant idea. They need to bring Alterac Valley as a brawl.
Spirit Valley would be good.
I don't know what
For a
that
brawl,
means.
that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, if they did like a special kind of brawl thing, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But
What
would
is
never work
Alterac
as a normal
Valley? Is
game
that
mode.
just kill everybody mode?
it's where Alliance always wins.
Pretty much. Yeah, that and it's 40 versus 40.
Yes.
I'm sure that would totally
40
work
v
in
40
Heroes
with a heavy
Engine.
PvE element.
No.
3-day ongoing brawl. Thank you, chat. I appreciate
Log out
that.
and log back in.
Oh, yeah.
The brawl is still going.
But yeah, as for myself, I'm DJ Tyrant. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter. But yeah, we've gone almost an hour and a half tonight. Really great show. This has been episode 119 of the Heroes Power, brought to you by BlizzPro.com. Make sure to follow the show on Heroes Power on Twitter. Check us out on Patreon.com/Heroes Power as well. Past episodes on video are up on YouTube.com/BlizzPro. We will see you next week, and in the Nexus, make sure to stay tight.